Hi everyone, Petrik here. So for today's video, this will be about all the best books that I've read in the year 2025 so far. And today, unlike usual, I think usually I will talk about 10 favorites, but in today's video, I will talk about 5 favorites and also 1 favorite novellas of the year so far. So the reason for this one, well, I think many of you know that I've been in a bit of a burnout this year, and I've managed, I think, to read a total of about 20 or 22 titles, 22 books within this year so far, not counting the month of July. Yeah, so this is for the month of January until the month of June, and from those months I managed to read about 20 books. And yeah, out of all those books, I will be talking about the top 6 that I think is the best one of this year so far, only counting new reads, not counting rereads. And some of you have been wondering why it's taking me more than a week to post a new videos. Well, if you have seen my Instagram stories, or maybe you're on my Discord server, then you will know that I'm in the process of moving more than 1,500 books to a new location. And trust me, that is a pain, an absolute pain. That's when your favorite books became a nemesis, not gonna lie. So because of that, you might, like this one, this is empty here. Yeah, because I'm in the middle of moving everything. And hopefully by next week, I will manage to start recording in the new office, in the new location. But for today, let's just get straight to the topic, okay? Let's just talk about the best books that I've read within this year so far. So out of about 20 books, this is the first one I'll be talking about. So this one, before I start talking about the top 5, this is the best novella that I've read within this year. And this is for An Inkling of Flame by Z.B. Steele. So this is the prequel novella to the main book in the series, Whispers of the Storm, which is the first book in the Song of the Damned series. And by reading this one, I was instantly intrigued to try reading the main novel as soon as possible, Whispers of the Storm. And I'm a big fan of framing narrative. I think many of you who have been following my reviews and also my YouTube channel for quite a while now, it's almost 5 years. Yeah, my YouTube channel is almost 5 years now. But yeah, if you have been following my reviews and also my YouTube channel for a long time, then I think you will know that I'm a big fan of framing narrative, like the Kingkiller Chronicle and also Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan, some of the most popular framing narrative novels lately in modern epic fantasy. But yeah, those are some of my favorite framing narrative books. And this one, An Inkling of Flame, is a novella with a framing narrative as well. And I think it did its job pretty well. On top of telling a great story, a great framing narrative story with a grim dark tone, well, it also instantly, as I said in the beginning, it instantly made me want to read Whispers of the Storm. Now, I know I haven't read Whispers of the Storm yet, but many people have told me that Whispers of the Storm is even better than An Inkling of Flame. And this book, this novella, is only about 100 pages long, and it is awesome. I think it is the best novella that I've read within this year so far. And I have actually read all the books, all the novellas in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. And I do think that out of all the novellas, this one is the best one. Yeah, I know this is not sci-fi, but still, as far as quality and enjoyment goes, this is the best novella that I have read within this year so far. So I think, in a way, this makes An Inkling of Flame the best self-published fantasy title that I have actually read within this year. And I know some of you will be talking about this. Some of you will be asking me, why haven't you read Of Empires and Dust by Ryan Cahill? And I know I've been badgered about this, especially because I'm one of the person who keep promoting The Bound and the Broken on my YouTube channel. So trust me, I will be reading Of Empires and Dust as soon as possible, hopefully within next month or maybe in September. That's the plan anyway, because I have to choose between Wind and Truth or Of Empires and Dust first to read, but I plan to read both of them within this year. But anyway, now let's talk about the top 5 best books with best novels that I've read within this year so far. Again, just a reminder, not counting reread. This is all new reading experience for me, the first time I read through them. So for the number 5 spot, this belongs to Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Yeah, this one is an upcoming book. This book will be published in August, so next month. Yeah, I believe this will be included in many people's list of most anticipated books of the year for many good reasons. I think R.F. Kuang is really one of the most popular authors right now with the popular trilogy and also the Babel, the Dark Academia novel. And now, I guess this actually kind of counts as Dark Academia novel as well, Katabasis, but not really. But I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars rating. So an 8 out of 10 stars rating. I still enjoy this one pretty much, but I think if many of you struggle with the academic factors of reading Babel by R.F. Kuang, you will probably struggle a lot more with reading Katabasis. I think that's a caveat that you have to remember before trying to read Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. But if you are a fan of that, of reading philosophical, academical stuff in your books, in your fantasy books, then I think you will have a good time reading Katabasis. And just like Babel, by the time you reach the second half of Katabasis, everything just move in a much better reading pace for me. I think the story and also the characters, because the background of Alice and also Peter, the two main characters of Katabasis, they were not explored until you actually reach the second half of the novel. So for the first half of the novel, you are basically embracing the settings, the philosophies, and also, again, the academical factors of Katabasis. But once you reach the second part, the second half of the book, that's when, to me, that's when Katabasis qualities truly shine. I think for me, R.F. Kuang is really exploring another, unconventional set of characters. I think many people will have mixed feelings about these two characters and also the mentors mentioned in Katabasis, but I think the setting of hell and also the entire book is really vivid in my mind. I can still remember everything that happened in this book pretty clearly, so I think that's a good plus. And also the ending ended, to me anyway, it ended pretty satisfyingly. So I'm giving this one a 4.5 stars, and it belongs in the number 5 spot for the best books that I've read within this year so far. And now moving on to the number 4 spot on this list. This is for a debut novel, an epic fantasy debut novel, and this is for A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Ayinde. And this is the Illuminate edition novel with the cover art by Jeff Brown and also end paper by Istrandar. And yeah, this is beautiful. Take a look at this. But this is truly an epic fantasy debut novel. I know that many people have been favoring, especially traditional publishing, have been favoring releasing romantasy rather than truly epic fantasy. And I know some of you will say that romantasy is epic fantasy. And yeah, that is true. But at the same time, romantasy means that romance is a core factor of the epic fantasy novel. This is not the case with A Song of Legends Lost. This is truly epic fantasy minus the romance. So romance, some romance is still a part of the book, but it is not the main story. It is not the main focus of the book. If you have read The Song of Legends Lost, then I think you can agree that this book is Final Fantasy X inspired, or maybe Horizon Zero Dawn or Shaman King. And yeah, you can tell from this cover art or the original cover art that Shaman King, if some of you know that manga or anime, I don't even know whether M.H. Ayinde has actually read Shaman King or watched Shaman King or not. But if you have read this book, then you can definitely put the comparison between the two. With the summoning and also the ancestors, it's great. Trust me, it's great. If you love epic fantasy, you don't mind reading a slow burn epic fantasy character-driven novel, then I think you will have a great time reading A Song of Legends Lost. So just like many epic fantasy novels, A Song of Legends Lost is told through the perspective of multiple characters. And my favorite characters, the two of them, are Temi and Jinao. So now Jinao, this character here in the front cover of the Illuminate edition, well, he has more spotlight compared to Temi, and I like reading his perspective. But in my opinion, I think Temi should have earned more chapters, in my opinion anyway. So Temi, I believe, if I remember correctly, she was very evident for the first 2 parts of the novel, and then after that she just kind of went missing entirely until we reached the last part of the novel. So I think that's kind of a missed opportunity, because I personally care about Temi and also Temi, most importantly Temi more than Jinao, more quickly. So I wish we get more perspective from her. But as far as world building goes, this is truly epic fantasy, hidden mythologies, and also there will be more secrets about the technologies in this world, about the apocalypse that happened in the past. So this one kind of like the post-apocalypse stuff. And if you have played the Final Fantasy X video games, then there are the Albert stuff in the Final Fantasy X. I think you can definitely compare these two. And I know MH Ainde is a big fan of Final Fantasy. So yeah, if you love Final Fantasy and if you love Shaman King and you want an epic fantasy with minimal romance, then I think you should try reading this one. Again, this is a slow burn. And I know that some people have told me that they are done with reading slow burn epic fantasy. And I don't agree with that, because I still think that slow burn epic fantasy, as long that they are well written, still have a place in the market, especially for me. Anyway, this slow burn epic fantasy, when they were done right, they are the kind of characters that stay with me, and that makes me want to read the sequel even further. And I want to read the sequel of A Song of Legends Lost as soon as possible. And at the number 3 spot, well, surprisingly, this is the only sci-fi novel on this list so far. This is Network Effect by Martha Wells, the first novel in the Murderbot Diaries series. And this takes place after the first 4 books of the Murderbot Diaries. So the first 4 books of Murderbot Diaries, they are all novellas. And then after that, we have this book, this novel, Network Effect. And I believe Network Effect takes everything out of all the 4 novellas in the previous titles and then make them shine in Network Effect. So one of the things that I wanted the most out of the first 4 novellas is stakes. And I get that immediately from reading Network Effect, from the beginnings of Network Effect, and also from as I said from the beginning, we get to learn more about Art here. So Art appeared in Artificial Condition, the second novella in the Murderbot Diaries, and I was confused why Art never appeared again in the third and also the fourth novellas of the Murderbot Diaries. And then we finally get to see Murderbot interact again with Art in this book, in Network Effect. And on top of that, we have Amina. So one of the tropes that I love the most in reading is the badass and the child trope. And we kind of get that in reading Network Effect with Murderbot and also Amina. So yeah, this book, I think, from the actions, from the story, and also the character development, it is by far the best of the entire Murderbot Diaries. And I have actually read all the books in the Murderbot Diaries, and I do think that Network Effect is the best of them all. And I don't know, we still have 3 more books, I think, in the Murderbot Diaries. I don't know how it will go, but I hope the last three titles will be able to conclude the Murderbot Diaries series satisfyingly, if that is actually the last titles of the series. Anyway, I know that this series is super popular, and I don't know, we will see how it goes. But again, before I get into more tangent, this is definitely my favorite book in the Murderbot Diaries. And now moving on to the number 2 spot, I guess this will actually count as an unpopular opinion, I guess, based on the number of ratings I've seen on Goodreads so far. But this is for The Radiant King by David Dalglish. So this one currently on Goodreads, at least, it has received a mixed rating. This first book in the Astral Kingdom series. Look at this cover art. This is done by Magali Villeneuve, and I think it is super gorgeous. Beautiful cover art. But yeah, this is a Berserk-inspired epic fantasy novel, and I have seen many people complain about the flashback portions of The Radiant King, and I will have to disagree with that completely. Now, The Radiant King, the characters were great, and the beginnings were awesome as well. But in the middle, well, not in the middle, but after the beginning, well, The Radiant King kind of like, it stumbled into this barrage of inconsequential skirmish. And even though this is a Berserk-inspired fantasy novel, you can tell from the Sariel character, and if you have read the Golden Age arc, then you will see a lot of similarities in The Radiant King. And that is not a bad thing. I love Berserk, and I love Berserk-inspired novels. That's one of the main things why this became the runner-up spot for the best books of 2025 so far. But at the same time, this inconsequential skirmish definitely made me a bit cautious about thinking, you know what? this probably will not be as good as David Dalglish's other books, other fantasy novels that I have read, like the Keeper's trilogy and also the Bladed Fate. And then we reach the flashback portions. That instantly changed my mind. And after reading through the flashback portions, we end up being plunged into this absolutely insane, chaotic situation, an insane climax sequence. Some might even think this actually counts as a grim-dark, epic fantasy novel, and I will not blame them about that at all. The characters were morally gray, and the flashback portions instantly change whatever preconception we have about the characters in the book so far before that flashback chapters. Some even said that these flashback chapters were too long, and I don't get how. I actually wanted more out of the flashback chapters. I never think flashback can instantly mean that it's a bad thing. I think as long as it actually explored and also divulged more information, more important information about the characters and the world, I think it's okay to use flashback at the right placement. And I think David Dalglish did that really correctly in The Radiant King. But again, this is just my opinion, only mine. I know that it currently has a mixed reception on Goodreads. And for the number one spot, let's move on to the number one spot now. So this is not the only, apparently Network Effect is not the only sci-fi novel, because the number one spot belongs to The Fall of Hyperion by Dan Simmons. So this one is the second book in the Hyperion Cantor series, and it is the sequel to Hyperion. This year marks the first time I read through The Fall of Hyperion. I remember about 3 years or 2 years ago, I read through Hyperion for the first time. Absolutely love that book. I think the story of the pilgrims definitely left a mark in my heart and also in my mind. But after reading that book and also reading some of the comments and watching some of the BookTube reviews that said that The Fall of Hyperion is a huge disappointment, that kind of strayed me away from reading The Fall of Hyperion back then. And I will, if I can go back to the past, I will tell the past Petrik, what a huge mistake you're making. Do not listen to them, because again, The Fall of Hyperion is absolutely awesome. Just like what Christopher Rocchio said, Christopher Rocchio, the author of The Sun Eater, I will have to agree with him on this one. I remember reading through The Fall of Hyperion. I talked about this with him. I just said, I don't know what's your opinion on this, but I actually think The Fall of Hyperion is absolutely incredible. And then he told me that he completely agreed with me, and he doesn't understand why people dislike The Fall of Hyperion, and I am in the same spot right now. I think this is an absolutely incredible conclusion to the first arc of the Hyperion Cantos. I still need to read The Rise of Endymion, but as far as the story being told in the first half of the Hyperion Cantos, The Fall of Hyperion managed to take everything that has been built and established in Hyperion and actually conclude the story as epic as possible. I won't even mind not having Endymion, and again, I haven't read The Rise of Endymion here, but based on what I have read from Endymion, I won't even mind having just Hyperion and also The Fall of Hyperion, and it would actually make the first two books in the Hyperion Cantos the best duology that I have ever read in my life. It is that good. It is epic, it is ahead of its time, and again, the characters and the events that happen, some actually made me truly emotional. And yeah, it is hard to talk about The Fall of Hyperion without actually spoiling what happened in Hyperion, but again, my favorite story in Hyperion is actually the Scholar's Tale. And again, I don't want to spoil you here, but if you have read that one, I think you will know why that one left a lasting impression on so many readers. But that storyline is definitely explored a lot in The Fall of Hyperion. But I think that's kind of what I wanted from The Fall of Hyperion, but it is not only that. The Fall of Hyperion actually explored and also elevate the two main POV characters that I actually felt to be the weakest on my first time reading through Hyperion. Yeah, so these are the last two of Hyperion, the last two short story or novellas in Hyperion. Again, no spoiler, but they are the detectives and also the consul's tale. On my first time reading through Hyperion, these two were the weakest, but now after reading The Fall of Hyperion, I think doing the third read of Hyperion will definitely have a different experience on me. So yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about Hyperion and also The Fall of Hyperion. If you want to know my full thoughts, even though they are spoiler free, I do think that if you want to dive into this series for the first time, it's better to not know anything about the series at all. It's really that good. I now understand why so many people actually consider the Hyperion Cantos one of their favorite sci-fi series of all time. And I hope The Rise of and Beyond can definitely carve that ranking in my mind, hopefully. But based on the first two, Hyperion and also The Fall of Hyperion, I can definitely agree with that notion. So yeah, for now, at the end of June, The Fall of Hyperion is the best book of 2025 for me. But right now, at the time of recording this video, I'm about to start reading The Strength of the Few, and then I will be reading, well, Shadows Upon Time. So I think that ranking will change really soon, or maybe not, but we will see. But anyway, these are the top 5 and also the best novella that I have read within this year so far. Again, as far as quantity and quality goes, this is definitely the lowest of the year for me. I mean, usually by the time of this year, I have managed to find at least 5 5-star novel, and also I can actually put 10 books or more into the best books of the year so far list. But this year, I can only include 5 novels and also 1 novella. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm super busy this year. Just like life, it is all up and down. And this year probably is the down portion as far as reading goes. But again, let me know what you think about the list, the books that I listed in today's video. And of course, do tell me what is the best book that you've read within this year so far. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye-bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.